So I'm included in the capitalist class.
Get him. No.
Yeah, because I own stocks. I'm not getting wealthy, as I suggested in class a couple of weeks ago. This capital that I own isn't ultimately going to lead to me being able to put people to work and to profit from their labor. It's hopefully going to allow me to retire one day, so I don't have to work the rest of my life. But anyway, so under Western capitalism, there's a class of individuals, how amorphous that might be, that own the means of production. And the goal of that class is to expand the means of production to realize a profit, but much of the profit gets reinvested in the enterprises in order to expand, from the perspective of autonomous Marxism. The expansion of the economy, the expansion of capitalist production also requires and involves the imposition of work, putting more and more and more people to work, hopefully for longer and longer hours, right? Hopefully for less and less money. So in state capitalism, capitalist class doesn't own the means of production. The state does. The state does. State bureaucracy does. And they manage the means of production. And they, in the old Soviet Union, you can understand why they did this. Certainly in the early years of the Soviet Union, but goal number one was to expand the means of production, right? To expand the economy. So that's a system in which the goal is to expand capitalist production. The goal is to expand industrial production. The goal is to put more and more people to work and to manage the economy so that it is as productive as it can possibly be. And from the perspective of working people, I'm being put to work. Whether it's Ford or the government bureaucracy, I'm still being put to work, and I'm being told how many hours a week I have to show up, and I'm being told what my wages are. So from the perspective of the working class, that's capitalism. That's wage labor being imposed upon me under the conditions of them. So that's why from the perspective of beginning in the 1930s, Ryan Deniyevskaya makes this insight in the 1930s, very remarkable. The Soviet Union, communist, the workers control the means of production, the workers control the conditions under which they work? No, that ain't communism. That's the state controlling the work of the means of production and controlling the conditions under which workers work. Hence, it's just state capitalism. And then you got this other kind of capitalism where a class runs the show and manages the means of production in the economy.
So it seems to me then that the main concern, at least for autonomous Marxism and the working class, is the abolition of work. I guess the question I pose to you is who...
The abolition of work in the sense of the abolition of wage labor.
Okay. Well, okay, then that would necessarily mean that we still have functions in society.
Work, people still doing stuff.
Okay.
But again, the model of self-organization is phrase that is central to Italian New Left and central to autonomous Marxism. It's all about doing stuff because you like it and you enjoy it and you want to do it.
Okay, I don't think anybody's going to enjoy working in raw sewage and processing. So I think necessarily people are going to have to make that sacrifice if they want to the team, however they're going to organize it. But then again, I guess the question is, do you take historical? Does that take historical context into consideration for the Soviet Union at that time? It's 1930s. Hitler's starting to come to power. Nations are starting to get eaten up. And it seems to me, right, if it is a state, it's a state of the people. And at the time, there's a dictatorship of the proletariat in which it's a traditional sense of the dictator. It's like, hey, guess what? Europe's going to shit.
Within the Italian New Left and within autonomous Marxism, different configurations of transformation are analyzed always from the perspective of the material conditions of production. It's going to be the material conditions of production that are the crucible, if you will, of how transformation takes place. So even from the perspective of the Italian New Left and autonomous Marxism, what happened, particularly in the early post-First World War period, was perfectly rational, given the condition of the relations of production in the nascent Soviet Union. Made sense given that context. The Italian New Left is going to say 1965, 1970 Italy is a different context.
Okay.
And what was appropriate to that socio-historical context ain't appropriate now. A lot of people are making a shitload of money.
Okay.
The damn Communist Party has been telling us for 20 years now to accept wage concessions and to work longer and harder. Screw you guys. Screw you guys. We're going to go it on our own.
Okay.
We ourselves, we working class people in the factories are going to organize, and we're going to go on wildcat strikes, and the trade unions don't want it, and the Communist Party of Italy doesn't want it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Screw all you guys. So again, this is an insight that's central to Marx himself.
Certainly.
Different socio-historical circumstances, in particular, different socio-historical circumstances vis-a-vis the material relations of production, are going to require different theoretical models in order to assist progressive, i.e. beneficial transformations.
Okay. Good with that.
It seems like there are two big things going on. And one, they seem to be...
Yes, the Olympic Games and...
Yeah, and
I
the
care
Iraq War.
about
But this entire view seems contingent, right, on working class perspectives, working class, struggles. But it seems to me that if I look at the vast majority of working class struggles around the world, in general, they're progressive only in the sense that workers get less exploited when things happen, kind of, in those relationships. But I mean, Fordism, right, is itself a product of working class struggles.
That's a central insight of the Italian New Left, yeah.
But also, once the workers get Fordism, they stop with the working class struggles. I mean, this is a big reason why the American
workers
left
didn't
isn't-
ask for Fordism. The Fordism is a result of working class struggle, in the sense that working class struggle leads capitalist managers to think, how are we going to have these people have less influence over how the workplace functions? These people got a lot of power because these workers are really important to our industry. And if they decide to go on strike, we're screwed. Let's make work as simple and as stupid as possible so that if they go on work, we can fire them all and hire scabs, and the next day everything begins again because we don't have to train anybody. All we got to do is say, okay, there's the button that you push. So this increasing technicization is not something that the workers asked for, but it was the result of their power and exercising their power.
Sorry, I was unclear on Fordism. What I mean is Fordism as a political and social movement rather than Taylorism. So Ford famously said that you need to pay your workers enough to buy your products, right? And you see this especially in the transition after the post-war period, is capitalist nations, especially Western capitalist nations, begin giving certain benefits, giving higher wages, especially to union workers, right? I mean, and this is because of the unions and the working class struggle of the unions that, right, workers in America start getting all of these benefits. Okay, so then they get all these benefits, and then they stop fighting for benefits. And I mean, this is pretty much why there's now no unions in the United States. There's no real revolutionary movements in the United States, right? Is because in this case, they won. I mean, Lenin famously says, right, in bourgeois societies, as apparently, right, the autonomous know, right, in bourgeois societies, the dominant ideology is bourgeois, right? So why then is there this belief that if workers have bourgeois ideology and they fight for their own personal self-interest through trade unionist struggles, that this will somehow develop into a spontaneous revolutionary movement?
Oh, well, I think it's a misrepresentation of the INL and of autonomous Marxism and if I implied this, then it's incorrect.